Hello there, race fans, and welcome back to Season 8 of the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series. Tonight we are going to be crossing the halfway point of this season, and honestly, what better place to do it than this tiny little bull ring here on the iRacing.com platform. Tonight we are at the .37 or .37 mile or .6 kilometer Lanier National Speedway down in Brazelton, Georgia, just across from Road Atlanta. Fun fact, I'm sure you've heard that one plenty of times. But what a season it has been, race fans. Currently, this is round 6, so 5 rounds done before this one. And so far, we have had 5 different winners this season, so definitely wide open in the championship still. Plenty of battles to go around. We have a new driver actually sitting on the pole tonight as well, so who knows? Tonight we might just be seeing our 6th unique winner of the season. That said, if you want to come race here with Attrition Sim Race Campus, you can check us out at ASRC Racing on twitter.com or go to www.asrcracing.com. On Monday nights at 7:30 p.m., we have the Road Series here on the iRacing.com platform at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. It is the GT3 cars split into 6 events that are 50-minute long endurance races and 6 events that are twin 25-minute long sprint races. Then, of course, following that, here we are at 9 p.m. Eastern with the Oval Series 101 lap late model races. Then on Tuesday nights, they have the Dirt Series at 9 p.m. Eastern with the Dirt Late model. I believe the Pro Dirt Late model at that. So definitely be sure to check us out at ASRC Racing or www.asrcracing.com. That said, race fans, qualifying is now in the books. So how about we go head down trackside and take a look at our starting lineup for the evening. Starting out on the pole here tonight in only his 2nd start of the season, driving the number 45 machine is going to be Travis Sukup. In 2nd place, driving the number 99 for Droppin' Bombs Racing, is gonna be Tyler McRae, also making his 2nd start of the season. 3rd place, gonna go back to Garrett Streets in the number 15 machine, the winner of last week's race, with Nico Morelli in the 14 to his outside. Back in the 3rd row in the number 5 machine, another one of the winners this season, the number 70 of Jason Mong, and his outside going to be the 85 NTO entry of Brian Sabelski, another winner this season. Back in the 7th position, going to be the 93 of Jason Gardner, driving that Me machine. 8th place going to go to Zachary Nelson in the 07 machine. And finally, rounding out our 9-car field here tonight, going to be the 51 of Eric Gahn. 101 laps up on the board, of course, here tonight. As is usual with the ASRC Oval Series, always going to be 101 laps or 101 miles, but we have not been to a track in a long time that is longer than a mile, so basically, it's going to be guaranteed to be 101 laps for the remainder of the season unless we go into NASCAR overtime, which is very much an option, and an option we have seen a couple of times already this season. Back at the North Wilkesboro Speedway last week, we saw the most cautions of the season with, I believe, 9. Very chaotic race that turned the standings upside down. And now these drivers are looking to try and capitalize on the events of last week and see if they can't bump themselves up a few spots with a solid finish here tonight. That said, the iRacing.com pace car is off, and we are going green flag racing here at Lanier. Both lines off to a pretty solid start, which is always great to see. It's always very unfortunate when a driver ends up spinning the tires on the initial restart, but it looks like everyone has got themselves going and situated very nicely here. Nico Morelli currently trying to look and see if he can't nose his way into the top 3 here early tonight, side by Streets and Cray though. It does look like the inside line, generally speaking, the place to be, as the 15 gets a little bit loose off the corner there. These late model stock cars do have their fuel tanks limited to 40%, and they also have an extra set of tires down on pit lane, so it is very possible we may end up seeing pit stops here tonight. That said, the fuel limit is set at 40%, so at a tight bullring track like this, drivers might be able to fuel save and pull off a no-stop strategy here tonight. We have seen it play out before. Drivers who were expected to make a pit stop managing to actually save on fuel and pick up a podium position. So we will have to see how this race plays out. Currently 7 laps down in the books, so plenty of time left to go. Nico Morelli having a bit of trouble in that 14 machine. Already 5 positions down, got stuck up on the high line and just got freight trained past. So Morelli already down from 4th back to 9th, having a little bit of a scrape against the wall there, going to be trying every last trick he has up his sleeves to see if he can't get back up into the top 5 or maybe even get another podium here tonight. Currently looking up in the 5th position, the closest battle on the speedway between the 2 Jasons, Gardner in that 93 Me entry, and Jason Mong back in the 6th position in that number 70 car. Both the Jasons somehow seem to find themselves battling it out every single week. I like to think it's because they share the same name, and after all, there can be only one, but you never know. These two always put on a good show, though. Eric Gahn also looking to try and put his name on the board here tonight. Getting a bit of time made up on corner entry, but losing again on corner exit, so he might be going into there just a little bit too hot. Just behind them as well, the rookie this season, the 07 of Zachary Nelson, trying to do anything he can to get around Gahn here. 13 laps in the books already. Currently on a bit of a better run than we had last week with some very early race cautions, so drivers starting to settle into a rhythm and potentially go green flag all the way with how we're getting spread out here tonight. But of course, it's wrong of me to say that, because every time I say anything, the opposite happens. I've absolutely 100% cursed these drivers, so really it's in everyone's best interest if I don't say anything nice about anyone ever. Currently looking at Zachary Nelson, who has finally got his nose down around that 51 of Eric Gahn, going to make the pass here. The 07 now fittingly up to the 7th spot here tonight, making one of the first passes we've seen so far after that initial restart. And it looks like Jason Mong tried to get his nose down under the 93 there, but Jason Gardner was not going to have it. And you see, this is the hard thing, race fans. I can't say Jason did something because there are multiple Jasons here and they are battling it out on this speedway. Mong trying everything he can to get his nose up under Gardner, and he's going to get it done that time by Gardner going up to the high line. Not going to want to maintain this battle for position, just going to let that 70 car by. Probably hope that he burns up his tires later on in the run and then come back for the position later in this race. Looking back up on our drivers here in the podium, this is the battle for the 3rd position between, or actually the 2nd position between McRae, Streets, and Sabelski. 3 drivers that have been putting on pretty solid performances this season. McRae, of course, our pole sitter here tonight. or actually no, Sukup is our pole sitter tonight. I know how to speak. I know what's happening on this race, I promise. But this battle involving two drivers that have already picked up wins here tonight, both looking to try and get their second and be the first driver of the season to pick up multiple wins. That said, Sukup here in the lead, putting on a very dominant display in that number 45 machine. He could very well be putting his name down into the record book and being the 6th unique winner of the season, and really just keeping the standings a complete mystery up until the very end. Coming into this race, Brian Sabelski is our championship points leader by 22 points, with Garrett Streets being in second in the point standings with 104. So, very close battling here in the top 3 positions, and it's for the drivers that are currently looking to lead the points championship. That said, there is 4 drop weeks here in the ASRC Oval Series, and there is actually 4 drop weeks in every single series that ASRC runs, so only drivers' top 8 best races are counted in every series every season, so it is okay to make mistakes, as the saying always goes, and these drivers having a little bit of a cushion to lean on should things not go their way. Looking a little bit further back, the battle now between the 07 and the 93, that's going to be Zachary Nelson and Jason Gardner. Jason having fallen back a little bit from the other Jason, probably trying to look and save his tires. The driver of that number 93 machine is a driver generally known to be pretty good about his tire management, so he could just be laying back, playing it easy, and waiting for the right time to strike later in this race. That said, he's doing a very solid job of holding off that 07 of Nelson. Nelson getting a little loose through these corners, really sending it down low to try and get around the 93, and they're going to make contact. A little bit of a bump out of Nelson, really trying to let the 93 know that he is ready to make this pass happen. Currently about 0.2 of a second, make that 0.3 between these two drivers. Nelson maybe backing off a little bit out of that tap. Being the rookie driver here this season, I would imagine that he is trying to be on his best behavior. But let's be honest here, the races here are all in good fun, and a little bit of a tap like that is not going to hurt anyone. That's just a little bit of good old-fashioned short track racing. Speaking of short track racing, that was a big dive out of the 07, but it's just not enough to make the pass happen. He's really trying everything he can to get around the 93 here, but oh, and the 93 is around. No caution just yet. Both drivers have their late model stock cars pointed forward. The leader is coming down the backstretch now, so Nelson and Gardner both getting slowed up pretty heavily, but no caution, and they both actually didn't even fall back to the final positions. Looking back here now at the battle between Gahn and Morelli, and contact's going to be made. Gahn is gonna make the save of the century, and there's our race leaders. Oh boy, things are getting real spicy real fast. The 99 of McRae going to be our new race leader after the 45 had a little bit of contact with the 14. 14 gonna go up high and let the leaders by, not wanting to be involved in any of that. But I'll tell you what, the checking up from that whole little incident has put our top 3 drivers under a blanket. And McRae loose through the corner. Sukup's going to get around him and get back into the lead. Also going to allow Streets to get himself involved in this battle. Looks like Streets already got his nose down around the 99, but he's going to back out of the pass just a little bit. The 99 definitely having a bit of an issue with grip. He is sliding the rear of that 99 car around through these corners. And trouble the 51 up into the wall. That's going to be Eric Gahn now falling back to the final position. Gahn and Morelli both a lap down, and it looks like Gahn is going to be taking that 51 around a pit lane here. Definitely a whole lot of damage to the right front of that late model stock car, so probably gonna take it back to his pit crew, see if there's anything they can do to get that car back out on the track. We have a scrape against the wall for McRae there. McRae back in the third position, but still has not fallen out of the podium once this race, so fallen back a little bit, but still putting on a very dominant show. With Gahn being in pits, now being scored 3 laps down actually, that means Morelli will be guaranteed to get the lucky dog should a caution come out, provided that Morelli is not involved in the wreck. So Morelli currently in a bit of a difficult situation. There's not much that he can do for himself right now besides cruise around the racetrack. But should a caution come out, his race is very much not over. That said, there is some pretty hefty damage to the right rear of the 14 where he made contact with Sukup, so that could be affecting the handling of that number 14 car pretty heavily. You can see him having a little bit of a wiggle through these corners. Very unfortunate for the driver of the 14 machine. So, Sukup back up to the race lead. Streets and McRae both, I believe, have been scored as leading one lap, so they will both be picking up a bonus point for that, but even with that contact with Morelli, Sukup is putting on a heck of a run, and it doesn't even look like there's damage on that number 45 machine. Might as well just run into a house of cards or something, because that number 14 machine looks fine. And Eric Gahn down, coming out of the pit lane, going to be scored 8 laps down in that 51 machine, unless he gets very lucky and we somehow get 8 cautions in the next 50 laps. Looks like Gahn will pretty much have his fate sealed back in the 9th position, or of course if drivers get wrecked out. So again, both drivers scored laps down, not able to make any moves for position right now, but there still is plenty of opportunity for them to get some positions back depending on how these next 45 laps unfold. I know how to do math, race fans. But we are now halfway through this event, and no one has come down to pit lane except for Eric Gahn, who came down for a damaged race car. So if fuel concerns are on the table for these drivers, they may have to start thinking about it soon, but I don't think that fuel will be an issue. Unless this 45 is pushing particularly hard, I think they should be good on fuel. Because the whole philosophy here in the ASRC Oval Series on how they decided the fuel limits for these late models is that fuel would need to be taken on the larger tracks, but not on Oxford Plains Speedway, which was on the schedule last season, because Oxford Plains has a very convoluted pit road, and we did not want drivers having to try and figure out green flag pit stops there. So on shorter tracks that are roughly an equivalent to that of Oxford Plains, like Lanier, it is very possible that fuel will be tight, but may not be necessary to stop. Also, the 93 of Sabelski going to be the next car a lap down, and the caution flag is out for McRae, it looks like. A little bit of damage on the right front of that 99, but I believe that was there already, so let's see if we can't figure out what the cause of this caution is. Looking back here, it does look like our truck is saying that The caution is for McRae, and sure enough, McRae going around just a little bit of a self-spin, got a bit loose off the corner, and that was about all she wrote for this number 99. Just a little bit too much of looseness in the rear end of that car, and that was enough to send him spinning. Let's see if we can't ride on board here with the number 99 here. Just a little bit too much throttle, a little too early, and that was all it took to send McRae around. So that will bring out the first caution of the evening, and it does look like we have at least one taker down on pit lane. Sukup down, McRae down. Looks like both these drivers will be pitting for fuel. McRae also going to be taking tires. Gone taking tires as well. Sukup having a very short stop, so it looks like Sukup may not have taken tires. Sukup may have just taken fuel. And with that pit cycle going through, that's going to put Streets as our new race leader. So if I was mistaken earlier by saying Streets has scored a lap as the leader, now it is definitely for sure Streets has scored a lap as the leader and will be getting a bonus point for doing that. Definitely very helpful for the driver of that number 15 machine, considering that he is second place in the standings and our current standings leader is right to his outside. 65 laps in the books, going to be 66 when we come to the line. Let's try this thing again, race fans. The green flag is up in the air. Officially 2/3 of the way through this race. Sabelski going to get a very solid start, though, almost 3 wide going into turn 1, but both drivers backed out of it just a little bit to prevent that from happening. But McRae, after that spin on new fresh iRacing branded tires, probably going to be doing everything he can to tear past this 70 machine and get back up into the podium. Little bit of oh, and I expected that to go significantly worse than it did. That was a whole lot of speed that 99 machine carried into the corner there, but he managed to not make contact with anyone. Very impressive driving by McRae. That honestly scared the heck out of me. Bit loose out of the corner for the 07, going to allow Sukup to get around him. Sukup, having scored the most laps led of this race, now trying to get back up to the front, having pit for fuel and maybe tires, maybe not, under that pit stop. Sabelski scraping the wall a little bit. He's going to lose a spot to the 85 and get a little bit of a nudge from the 70 there. Everyone managing to keep their cars pointed forward. Sukup also getting a little bit of a nudge to the 70 as well. So a little bit of a traffic jam just there, but everyone is keeping their late model stock cars pointed in the right direction. Currently looking at the 45 of Nelson, or of Sukup, our race leader up until that caution. Going to be getting around Brian Sabelski in the 85, and that's going to put him back up into the podium. Garrett Streets also having been out with McRae. McRae going to get around him fairly handily. McRae now being scored as our new race leader. McRae and Sukup both have our first and second for the most laps led this race, so there is potential, very much so, in the making to have a 6th unique winner this season. But Streets definitely should not be counted out of this battle. He has been growing a lot as a driver in these past 2 seasons, and now he has had multiple podiums, and last week he picked up his very first win. So definitely a whole lot of drive behind this number 15 machine to try and make it win number 2 back to back. But right now he has a whole lot of pressure from behind from Sukup that he has to worry about. Sukup going all the way down onto the apron just a bit there to try and make the pass on him. Stroot's gonna say, nuh-uh, no, I am not a fan of that. And he is gonna go up high and let Sukup by. So now, McRae and Sukup. Still a full second of difference, but Sukup is making up almost a whole tenth of a second every lap. Sukup's on quite a tear. 22 laps to go though, so McRae still has a chance to hold off this 45 if his cards play into his favor. Looking back here, this is the battle for the 4th position between Mong and Sabelski. Both drivers trying to at least pick up a 4th place, if not a podium. Sabelski is currently the championship leader coming into this race, so a 4th place finish, not great, not terrible. Points are points, but depending on how the rest of the season plays out, this could potentially end up being a drop week for him. Not quite sure what that crashing sound is. Nico Morelli seems to be going around the speedway plenty fine, but according to our camera crews, they're saying that Morelli crashed a lap ago. So let's take a quick look back and see what happened. Oh, very loose through the corner. Very loose, pretty much drifting through 1 and 2, and a hard impact with the outside wall, but able to keep it going, so no caution for the driver of that 14 machine. Back to the battle between Mong and Sabelski, currently the closest battle on the speedway. Mong trying his best to try and put that number 70 Outlaw Fuel Systems late model under the 85. Both these drivers are drivers that have picked up wins this season, so both of them have a little bit of a cushion to rely on in terms of the point standings, but even then, every race counts, and with this being the halfway point of the season, it's starting to get a little bit of do or die for some of these drivers. Sabelski and Mong both able to navigate around the lap traffic of Gone fairly confidently. Behind them is going to be Nelson, also getting around Gone fairly solidly. That said, the gap is shortening between these two drivers. 10 laps to go next time our leader comes around. Clock is ticking for these drivers. If they want to start making moves, they're going to have to do it very soon. 10 to go officially. An incredibly close gap between Sabelski, Mong, and Nelson. These three drivers currently the closest battles on the speedway, but there is a relatively close battle happening for our lead drivers as well. Going to be 9 to go now. Sabelski really working that low line very well. Mong trying everything he can to get just that little bit lower and get his nose up under the left rear quarter panel. Going down on the apron just a little bit there, but it's just not working out for him. A little bit of a scrape against the wall for, I believe, Morelli there. Not Morelli, I am mistaken. I'm not quite sure who that was hitting the wall there, but a caution could really shake things up for Sukup and McRae. McRae probably desperately hoping that one does not come out in these final 6 laps. Coming out of turn 4 here, make that 5 laps. That could really screw up his defense against Sukup here. Sukup really closing the gap, getting just a little bit closer with every lap. And sure enough, the caution flag is going to come out for caution number 2 of the evening, the absolute last thing that McRae wanted to see. And the 07 of Zachary Nelson stopped against the outside wall. getting hit by the pace car, but thankfully the pace car is not real. It's actually just a collective hallucination on the iRacing.com platform. Let's see if we can't go back and see what happened to the driver of the 07 machine. Looking at Zachary Nelson here, currently, or was at the time, back into, I believe, the 5th position, and looks like maybe he just had a bit of a mechanical failure in that 07 machine, because he just came to a stop completely out of nowhere there. Not entirely sure what prompted that, but hopefully everything is alright for the driver of that 07 machine. But caution number 2 is going to put us into overtime, I believe. If my math is correct, this technically will put us into overtime. Overtime here on the ASRC Oval Series, pretty much the same as it is in NASCAR, except there's only one attempt. So if the caution flag comes back out during this overtime attempt, that will just be the end of the race under caution. There won't be multiple attempts. Also, as an update, Ryan Sabelski back a couple of positions. Looks like he did take a splash of fuel under this caution. So Sabelski back down to the 5th position now on this restart. We will have to see how that plays out for him. He's only lost 1 position to Jason Mong, and that now is going to leave him open to be pressured from behind by Jason Gardner. So yeah, we have officially entered overtime. I am correct on that. And the lights are off on the iRacing.com pace car, so we are going to see what these drivers can do on this final dash to the end. It all comes down to this, race fans. McRae, Sukup, Streets, Mong, Sabelski, and Gardner. Your cars on the lead lap here and battling for position. Morelli, Nelson, and Gon all laps down and officially being scored in their final positions. Immediately, Sabelski dives down to the low line to try and get around Mong. That's not going to work out very well for him. Side by side for Streets and Sukup, though. Streets looking to try and pick up 2nd place. He's too far back to try and get the win. It's going to be a drag race to the finish here, race fans, and it looks like Sukup got it. Just barely. Sukup and Streets having a photo finish there. Both at 0.68 seconds behind our race leader. So, sure enough, McRae has picked up the win here tonight in that number 99 machine, and that means we will have had our 6th unique winner of the season. Not going to be any burnout for the driver of that 99. He's just pulling it straight down to victory lane and calling it quits for the evening. That said, race fans, we will be right back, so don't go anywhere. And we will have interviews with hopefully all 3 of our top finishing drivers. So don't go anywhere, race fans. Alrighty, race fans, welcome back. We've got your top three finishers here. Gonna switch things up a little bit tonight and go backwards. Gonna start with our third place finisher here tonight, Mr. Garrett Streets. Coming home in quite the photo finish and getting back on the podium, riding on the coattails of your win last week at North Wilkesboro. How are you feeling after this event here tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm glad to be up here. We had a good points tonight. Kept it clean with the 0x, led a lap. So I think we did about as good as we could tonight. A lot of fast guys out there. Congratulations to Tyler and Travis on great finishes as well.
Yeah, tonight was a pretty good heck of a show, and compared to the 9 cautions we had last week, definitely a whole lot of green flag racing to put these quote unquote iRacing branded tires here to the test. But you are definitely correct about this being a good point scoring race for you, because coming into this race, you were second place on the standings, and with a better finish than Brian, that's definitely going to be looking good for you going into our next race.
Yeah, just trying to pick away at it, you know, do the best we can each week and, try to finish ahead of Brian and see what we can do. Try to have a good race for the championship at the end. So I don't know if we're going to be able to do it, but we'll shoot for it and see how it goes.
Sounds like a pretty solid plan, but before we speak to our next driver here tonight, the microphone is all yours, Mr. Streets. Is there anyone you'd like to thank for getting this 15 machine here onto the podium tonight?
I just want to thank Johnny. Hopefully, he can come back soon. I know he's been busy, but we miss him, and hopefully, he'll be here. Jason, all the ASRC guys for having us out. Thanks to you for broadcasting, and just want to send a shout out to my girlfriend Morgan again because she's watching and cheering us on back home. So thanks again, Aiden. Have a good evening.
You too. Thanks for coming out. And going on to our second place finisher with a photo finish here with Streets here tonight. How are you feeling after everything that's gone down in these past 101 laps?
Pretty good. It was a lot of fun.
Well, that's always good to hear. A fun race generally is the best way for a race to be. You definitely were putting on a very dominant display for most of this race. Do you reckon if maybe we had just a couple more laps, you could have tried and vied this win here from McRae?
I think I ran out of car. I was pushing, trying to catch him. I was trying my best to get a bumper on him.
Fair enough. Well, either way, you definitely picked up some bonus points for your performance here tonight. You got any special plans or preparations for our next race at the bull ring next week?
No, we're hoping to show up and just kind of figure it out from there.
Good deal. That's always a solid plan. Sometimes overthinking things can definitely be a detriment. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you next week. But before we go, the microphone is all yours. Is there anyone you'd like to thank for getting this 45 here home in second place tonight?
I'd like to thank Tyler. He's the one that gets me in this and shows me how to do all this stuff because I'm pretty green. I had a good time, and we'll see you guys next week.
Good deal. Thanks for coming out. And finally, rounding out our interviewees here tonight, our sixth unique winner of the season, Mr. Tyler McRae. How are you feeling tonight?
Hey Aiden, how's it going? Feeling pretty good. Stole this one from Sukup. He definitely had that win, and I think he had a little pit road mishap where he had to start in the rear, cost him that race. He ran strong the whole race till then.
Well, even then, you still had a very fast late model here tonight. You put on a heck of a run. All three of y'all did, and frankly, I'm getting really excited for the rest of this season because with a unique winner every single race, this championship is definitely wide open still.
Yeah, I feel like I had a good run at North Wilkesboro. Just couldn't put it all together at the end, and Looking at my tire temps and wear, I see some changes I need to make here. And that's one of the fun things me and Sukup do is we just enjoy building the setups. Sometimes we come in, start from scratch and build. Sometimes we may have something we've already worked on already and build off that. But we compete with each other all week long. So when we come in another lobby that has fast guys and good drivers like this one, I feel like we're ready to compete right off the get go.
Well, you all have been showing yourselves to be pretty competitive, and it's certainly making all of these races very exciting for myself and the folks out watching at home. So, definitely a pleasure to have you all out here and see y'all compete every week. You got any particular opinions on heading into the bull ring next week for the first time in the ASRC Oval Series history?
It's a pretty fun track. It can get tight when you get in that late entry turning in, but I've never drove these cars there, but hope to make it if I can. If my schedule allows, I want to be there. These guys, it's a good group to run with. I feel bad. I did bump the 70 car once and I backed off to make sure you had plenty of room, but all these guys usually drive you pretty clean. There's a few mistakes happen here and there, but some good guys.
Yes, sir. Well, hopefully, schedule permitting, we will see you out here next week. But before we call things off here for the evening, the microphone is all yours. Is there anyone you'd like to thank for getting that 99 here onto the victory lane tonight?
Oh, definitely. I want to thank ASRC Racing. I mean, all they put on. They put on a ton of races. I've been in and out with them for probably over a year. So it takes a lot of work keeping up with Discord or with yourself doing the broadcasts. It's a lot of work they put into it. And overall, my dropping bombs team, which includes Sukup, all the work they do in the different lobbies we get into helps us be better when we get into a more competitive lobby like this. So just want to thank them too.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out here tonight, Tyler, and congratulations on picking up the win.
I appreciate you. Have a good night.
You too. You heard it here first, race fans. Your top 3 finishers here tonight: Mr. Tyler McRae, the 6th unique winner of the season, followed by Travis Sukup and Garrett Streets, and possibly the closest photo finish that we have seen all season. Normally at this point I would go ahead and round out the stream, but I think just to do our friends here at the ASRC Oval Series a little bit of justice, I'll replay that white flag battle between Mr. Sukup and Streets. Even gonna hit him with the chopper camera for good measure. Let's just really get a grasp on how close the finish was between these two late model stock cars, between the 15 and the number 45. Because however close they finished with each other was closer than the iRacing in-game timer is actually capable of displaying. But going down to quarter speed here, and sure enough, that is quite the photo finish between these two. And according to our timing and scoring, the 45 did pick up the 2nd position. But that said, that is about all we got here for the ASRC Oval Series here tonight. We will take a quick look at our official race finish results. Of course, first place going to go to Tyler McRae in that number 99, followed by Garrett Streets and Travis Sukup. And sure enough, here you actually can see the difference was 1/1000th of a second between Streets and Sukup for the finish here. That said, I just hesitated because I noticed there's a discrepancy between the scoring on the screen right now and the scoring on my actual score sheet. So you may have to tune in to the @ASRC Racing Twitter channel to get official confirmation on if Streets or Sukup finished second, because according to this, Streets picked up the second place finish, but according to my scoring sheet, Sukup picked up the second place finish. So definitely be sure to tune in to @ASRC Racing to get the official confirmation on what our podium looks like here tonight. But fourth place is going to go back to Brian Sabelski in that 85, followed by the two Jasons in 5th and 6th. Mong in the 70 going to pick up 5th. 6th going to go to Gardner in the 93. 7th place going to go back to Mr. Nico Morelli in the 14, followed by Eric Gahn in the number 51 for Dirtbag Racing. And finally, rounding out our field here tonight, Mr. Zachary Nelson in that 07 machine, rounding out tonight's field. So this is officially all we have for y'all here tonight at the Lanier National Speedway. Next week we head to the bull ring for the first time in ASRC oval racing history. And let me tell you, race fans, that track has its name for a reason, so expect a whole lot of comfortably tight racing next week at the same day, same time, Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Session opens at 9 p.m. Eastern for the people that are driving, but the broadcast happens at 10 p.m. Eastern. And without further ado, I will see y'all later, race fans. Have a good evening.